That's the element you live in, is fear of change, fear of continuation, fear of it getting worse.
And most people are living in fear.
It's the worst emotion to feel, and it's one of the ones that catapult you to suicidal ideations.
I feel like sometimes when it comes out of suicide, people think it has something to do with just love. It has something to do with just heartbreak or something like that. No, it has something to do with everyday life, like PTSD, anxiety, depression, mental, physical, emotional abuse.
I definitely had those intrusive thoughts of like, okay, like, you know, but also too, it was just like, oh, just like hurt yourself because you don't have worth anyway. So, and that's like kind of like where the like suicidal ideation came up, and where it was just like, I like in my mind in that time, I genuinely felt that it would be easier.
Welcome to C Notes. I'm Kierra, the founder and host of C Notes. Today's episode, This Too Shall Pass, is a very much so needed conversation. Not because it's one of the most important conversations we're going to discuss this season, but because too many people pretend like it's not happening. When people hear the word suicide, there's this moment, a pause, an uneasiness, like it's something too dark to talk about. Something that only happens to other people. But the truth is, suicidal thoughts don't always look the way people expect. It's not always someone crying out for help. Sometimes it's quiet. It's the friend who keeps pushing. It's the person who looks fine on the outside, but is drowning on the inside. And for those who have never experienced it, it can be hard to understand. Why would someone feel like that? What makes someone think about taking their own life? For those who have been there, for those who have fought those battles in silence, this conversation is well overdue. Because I know what it's like. I know what it feels like to be trapped in those thoughts. I'm going to just tell y'all, I remember the day my father passed away, I was sitting on a panel talking about suicide. We had just played a powerful film about suicide, the Live Project. If you don't know about it, look it up, the LIV Project. And I was there as a therapist, ready to support anyone in the audience who might need to talk. But during our break, I checked my phone and I saw call after call, so many missed calls. When I finally called my sister back, everything shifted. My own world had changed in an instant. One moment, I was helping others navigate loss. The next, I was experiencing it. But I'll say my moment with suicide, I'll say suicide ideation. I don't talk about it a lot. A lot of people who know me probably haven't even heard this or know that I experienced this, because y'all, the strongest people, I'll say, fight those battles alone. So check on your strongest friend. You hear it a lot, but it's real. I was pregnant with my son. I had my own battles that I was dealing with. I had just found I was pregnant, and all I could think about was how I was going to survive. Abortion, it just wasn't an option for me. I don't know why, it just never crossed my mind. But I also had no idea how I was going to do this. I was working 2 fast food jobs, doing hair on the side, barely making ends meet. And one day I was walking to do this girl's hair. I had a thought. Look at you. Exactly what the world expected you to be. A teen mom, no career, no degree, nothing to your name. And for a split second, I almost let that thought win. All those thoughts win. Now I'm just another stat. Now I'm just another Black girl pregnant at a teenage. I ended up getting pregnant high school night, my high school graduation night. I didn't find out until maybe 2-3 months later. So I had just turned 19, but still teen. I'm just figuring out life. My life for me is really just starting. But in that moment of thinking all the things that, you know, the world has expected from me, I'm walking into the stereotypes that society has put on me. I felt overwhelmed, honestly, and I almost walked into traffic. because in that moment, the weight of it all felt too much. But then I thought about my son. If I hurt myself, I hurt him, and he didn't deserve that. And then I thought, I don't deserve that either. I wasn't a victim of my circumstances. And that moment changed everything for me. It was really, honestly, now looking back, it was the start of my healing journey, because I realized I can't give my son love, security, and stability that he deserves, because I vow I'm going to give him everything I didn't have. Anything I lacked as a child, everything I didn't have, I was going to give my son. But going through that, I realized I couldn't give him that if I didn't give it to myself first. So if you're listening to this and you've ever felt like you don't matter, like if the world wouldn't notice if you were gone, I need you to hear me. You are here for a reason. Even if you don't see it yet, even if you don't believe it today. Back then, 16 years ago, my son, he's going to be 16 in a few days. Well, by the time this airs, he will be 16. I never, ever would have imagined me doing this podcast, me writing, me helping so many people. I've heard maybe at least 100 times in my life, no lie, 100 times, probably more. You changed my life. I remember hearing that for the first time as an intern. And then as a probation officer, just so many people. And I hear it almost on a daily as a therapist. But I couldn't imagine that when I was walking that day, going to do that little girl's hair. You are here for a reason, even if you don't see it yet, even if you don't believe it today. This pain, this moment, it will pass. In this episode, you'll hear from people who have been there, who have had those thoughts, but are still here today to tell their story, because survival is possible. Hope is possible. And no matter what your mind is telling you right now, you're not alone. That voice is a liar. You're in control. So let's talk about it. I'll say intrusive thoughts, suicidal ideation, self-harm. It's a topic that definitely needs to be discussed. A lot of people don't talk about it. It's almost, I had actually the day my dad passed away, we was I was like at a meeting talking about suicide, and they mentioned how like the topic of suicide is like so undiscussed in the household. It's like sex. We don't talk about sex. We don't talk about suicide, mental health in general, honestly.
Exactly.
So it's a thing that a lot of people don't talk about. So I'm happy and I'm glad that, you are being, I'll say, brave, vulnerable, telling your story. But
Right.
Can you tell me about your experience with suicidal ideation, intrusive thoughts, self-harm?
So this is me raw and cut. If a lot of people follow me on social media, they will know July 1st of this past year, 2024, I tried to take my life. I was on Facebook Live. I had over maybe, I don't even know, so many people on there looking. I wasn't even looking at that. And I was just speaking from the heart. And I didn't want to live no more. I wanted to die. I was at my wit's end. I was tired. My back was against the wall. I was tired of being a mom. I was tired of being a friend, girlfriend, whatever you got, daughter. I didn't want any of it. I just wanted the pain to silence. And the only way I felt like I could silence that pain was taking my life. Mm-hmm. I was riding in the Uber because I'm a military vet. So I was riding in the Uber and I was on my way to the VA hospital. My Uber driver was sitting there crying his eyes out. He didn't have a clue what to say to me. But at that moment, everything was black. I couldn't see anything. Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes when it comes down to suicide, people think it has something to do with just love. It has something to do with just heartbreak or something like that. No, it has something to do with everyday life, like PTSD, anxiety, depression, mental, physical, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. A lot of things that we are taught to bottle inside and not let out. So one of these days, it just gets the best of you. So that day I wanted to like literally take my life. Mm-hmm. When I got to the VA hospital, I was surrounded by almost 15 police officers trying to save me. Everybody on my live was calling from all over the world. And I needed to let them know, like, this doesn't have anything to do with a man. It has something to do with my brain. I want everything to stop moving. So what I had to do, I had to admit myself for 7 days. And if you know me as being the strong and beautiful individual I am, I love to dance. I love to be that strong person. But at this point, I couldn't be strong for myself. I could not help myself. So I had to go get the help that I needed. And I isolated myself in there for 7 days. So suicidal thoughts is real, but it's no, like you say, like we just said, there's no book to it. There's no way of how to deal with it. People say go to counseling. Some counseling don't work for people. It does not work because you have to match the counselor with your personality, and that person, you have to feel comfortable with that person to have the conversation. So now counseling ain't working, right? Then they say work. I'm at work and work getting on my nerves, right? So that's 2 things that's already happened. Then I come home and I got a parent. I can't fall out. I got to have this bubbly look on my face. I have to do this. It's too many things tangled in one. So then when you shut down and you sit and you take that deep breath and you breathe, your eyes are closed, right? So when your eyes is closed, you see black. When you see black, it's like, no, I done went over there. So the question is how you bring yourself out of that.
Yeah.
You take the steps that you feel like you need to take without trying to attempt to, kill yourself, blow your brains out, cut yourself, take pills, jump off a bridge, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. What do we have to do to come back to that place? And what I had to do was really isolate myself to myself. I was away from my kids, my mom. I couldn't talk to I was just me, the doctors, medicine, and my room. And I had to do that so I could find myself. But I'm so happy that I was brave enough to know that I needed to take that step because it made me be the woman I am today. Yeah. Like, I'm a motivational speaker. I speak to women all over about suicide, abuse, mental, narcissism, anything you can name that I done been through. I live that through myself now. Now, don't get me wrong now. I do get depressed. I do still deal with anxiety. I deal with everyday life. But I want to live and I don't want to die. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah, and I love that. And we're all gonna, no matter how much work you do on yourself, we're still gonna deal with like depression, anxiety. We're gonna deal with those things on a daily or, whenever they do come up. And once it's about how you respond and react to it. You don't have to give it power. And by giving it power, it's not dealing with it at all. Not acting like it don't exist, balling it up, and making this thing so big that now, those suicidal thoughts come. You have to deal with it face on, head on. Everybody's going to feel these things.
Exactly.
Yeah. But was there anything else that you did to, which I'm so happy that you did, because a lot of people don't, that you did, decide to go get that help, go to, the inpatient and do that. Was there anything else, or even right now, I don't know, or after that process that, steps that you took to help you navigate those?
So what I do now, and when I'm in a season of isolation, and when I say a season of isolation, I'm in a season of isolation where no one can disturb my peace. So I'm protecting my peace, and as I'm protecting my peace, strings are falling, meaning friendships, situationships, relationships, family ships, work. Everything is just falling off. And I have to do that for me. And those are the steps that I take. I actually journal as well. I journal every day. I write whatever I'm feeling. If I get up that morning and I know my energy is off, I'm going to write it in my journal. If I don't have my journal with me, I'm going to put it on my notepad. And I keep that journal so I can know what I'm feeling on these certain days. What happened the day before so I can know what put me in that place. So that's what I've been working on. Just trying to try something different. I tried a new hobby. So I'm working on that. I do styling for myself, but I actually branched out and do it for others. And it's a passion for me. So I just try to put myself towards something else so I'm out of that place.
No, I think that's good. And a lot of people feel like journaling is cliche, but it does help. It's you releasing and processing that.
Right.
Once again, if you keep it all bottled up inside, it's in you. You got to let it go. You got
to let it out. You have to let it out.
And
I would tell anybody, a lot of people think journaling is like, I'm going back to college, I'm going back to high school. But you text on your phone all day long. You write on Facebook all day long. You write on Instagram, TikTok all day long. Journaling is the same way. If you don't want to, and I say this to anybody that's watching, if you don't want to journal and write, pull out your phone, go to your notepad, and just start talking. Even if you don't want to text it, press the voice button, and just talk everything through. It can be misspelled or whatever. The problem is getting it out. When it stays in, that's what controls the mind. That's what controls the body. That's what controls the mental and the emotions. So get it out, whichever way you need. Sometimes people don't like talking to people because it's judgment. Then your business is going all over the place. And me personally, I'm a private person. So what I had to learn was everybody's not for me and everybody's not for my conversation. I can talk to God, I can talk to my book, and I can talk to my phone because I know it stays right there. Don't hesitate and don't be scared. And put your pride put your pride to the side. You talking to an alpha female that I'm a strong female, that all my friends come to me nonstop, but nobody knew I had anything going on because I hide it. Yeah. Don't hide your color. Let your color blossom, whichever it may be. If you need help, go get the help that you need.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Is there anything extra or additional that you, well, first, music therapy, is there a song that helps you get out of that space or anything like that you
So it's this song that's going viral right now on TikTok. Yes, by Harm. Yeah. I love that song. It brings me out of a place. That if I'm in that place, I just play it over and over until I can get out of it. And it's a beautiful song. So it brings me out of those dark places.
I love that. I love that. Is there anything extra you want to add to the audience in regards to, intrusive thoughts, the suicidal ideation, things like that?
I would say this: suicide doesn't have a color. It doesn't have a race. It doesn't have a gender. Suicide can hit a pastor, a pilot, a chief of police officer, a millionaire, billionaire. It doesn't have a look. But what I can say is this: go get the help that you need for you. And if you feel like you can't do it alone, go to somebody that you can trust. And there's always a 1-800 suicidal prevention hotline anywhere you go. And sometimes it's just like talking to a best friend, and they don't know you, you don't know them. They just there to listen, to talk you off that ledge. Don't be so scared, and don't let your pride get in the way of getting the help that you need.
Yeah, thank you. I really love that.
You are so welcome.
And thank you so much. Like I said, sharing your story, being open and authentic in that too. Thank you.
It's very hard, but I feel like my story can help somebody else. Because like I said, it doesn't have a look. It doesn't have a race. It doesn't have anything. You see this beauty on the outside, but you don't know what's in my heart. So for me to open up and tell somebody else what I go through, it might bless the next person to go get the help that they need.
It will. I feel like definitely somebody's going to hear this, and you never know who you're going to impact or how many people, honestly. So thank you, Anita.
You are so welcome.
Can you tell me about your experience with intrusive thoughts?
Mm-hmm. For me, it was, again, wrapping back into like the experience that I had with being sexually assaulted. It was feelings of harming myself in some way, either just like, because, some people cut, some people like, I don't know, they just do different things like
rubber band.
Yeah,
it's a lot of different things. Anything.
Yeah. For me, I was fighting, like I would have a thought, okay, like you, like, I don't know, take this amount of, like medication, or like cut yourself, or like just anything that would like, I don't know what the sense, just feeling again, like being able to feel again. Like maybe that's why like people like go to pain. But the intrusive thoughts that I had were just like, yeah, like hurt yourself, or just
to feel. And actually, I think that kind of relates to a lot of people who do suffer from depression does, go over to suicidal ideation. Because like you said, in the depression episode, intense numbness. And sometimes the self-harm behaviors is a way to make them feel, to feel something. Because a lot of people who do experience depression, they say they don't feel anything,
For me, I personally never did end up hurting myself in any way, like, thank God. But I definitely had those intrusive thoughts of like, okay, like, you know, but also too, it was just like, oh, just like hurt yourself because you don't have worth anyway. So, and that's like kind of like where the like suicidal ideation came up, and where it was just like, I like in my mind in that time, I genuinely felt that it would be easier to be dead, right, than to like sit with the like intense like pain that I was experiencing, like the intense pain, but also like nothingness and just numbness, and just I felt hopeless. I felt very hopeless. And so I guess like another intrusive thought, because like anything with suicide, that's like an intrusive thought. Nobody's supposed to be killing themselves. So, that is, you know, so it's like, I think the biggest things were just like, combating the thoughts of just causing any sort of harm to myself.
And how did you get through those intrusive thoughts, or how do you get through intrusive thoughts?
Well, they got so intense at one point that it ended up driving me to inpatient. So I was an inpatient for a while. And when you're an inpatient, you go through group therapies, and you go through coping mechanisms and things like that. But I think that through what I learned, honestly, in like the activities and stuff that we did in group, but then also just through therapy, like talking in therapy, it was just like a mindset thing, or like just like my mind, like just I guess controlling your mind.
For your mind. That's my first episode in the second season. It all leads back, all the topics lead back to self. And within self, it's the mind. Knowing that you have control over that. Like you have control over the depression, the healing through the sexual abuse, because we don't have, if we could choose not to have sexual abuse or sexual assault happen to anybody, but it's people out there who do those things. But despite that, we do have control over healing through that. We have control over the vices. We have control over literally everything. Over those intrusive thoughts. And it's the combating them, the affirmations, the telling yourself that you are worthy, you are enough. Those are affirmations, or whatever you need in that moment. You are worthy enough of being alive, or whatever it could be.
100%.
But is there anything or any message you want to leave the audience in regards to intrusive thoughts?
I would say I think everyone is kind of like given discernment by God of like what is good and what is not good. And I feel like it really is kind of simple as that, where it's like, is this a good thought? Is this like a light thought, a like thought that will lead to like positivity, growth, like, or is it a thought that is going to cause harm to me, to someone else, to just, will it cause pain? Will it cause harm? And so, just knowing that you like have that discernment already. And so when you have those thoughts, it's like, okay, like, is this a good thing, or is this a bad thing?
I agree. I think I just want to wrap it up with this. I was just literally doing research on this, and they said the oldest form of spirituality is intuition. And I think that relates to the discernment. Like intuition, we all have it, and following your gut and knowing what is right and what is wrong. And that's what I'll end with.
And you're just more powerful in your mind. Like you're powerful. More powerful in your mind. So
thank you. Suicide ideation, suicide thoughts, intrusive thoughts, self-harm. It's a topic that you don't hear about a lot. A lot of people don't talk about it at all, honestly. It's very taboo, cliche, whatever you want to call it. Like, we don't want to talk about that. It's like the sex talk that people don't really have. Especially in Black people don't have a sex talk. We've seen it on all the TV shows.
They don't want to put it out there as if you can do it or use it.
Exactly. It's not. If we talk about it, they're more likely to do it. No.
That's not how this works.
It's not.
But I think it's the same for like suicide.
It is. It's exactly like that. That's how what I was getting at. But tell me, yes, you're right. This is yeah.
So as a person who dealt with it themselves and had episodes and some really dark moments, had I been talked to about it, it actually would have been it would have been productive instead of counterproductive like they thought. And I've learned through other trainings and things like that, just the real nuances of what suicide is and what it looks like. We all know, like, somebody takes your life. Okay, cool. There's more to it.
It definitely is.
A build up before you.
That's why I was aside the suicide ideations, the intrusive thoughts, the self-harm. It's a lot of things that, I mean, it could be depression, anxiety, all these things that we feel. We got to get a handle on it, because that's what the suicide is the last, because after that, but it's a lot of stuff that leads up to a person getting to that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, your experience with that.
It's crazy because I never thought as like a Black person that I'd experienced like suicide ideation. Again, that's the thoughts of creating the harm or making a plan, things like that. That's where the ideation comes in. And I always thought, like, that's white people thing. That Black people don't do that. I don't know nobody. Like, and then I think I've maybe lost 5 friends to suicide and they were Black. So like, to say it doesn't necessarily mean it won't happen. It doesn't remove it. But it's also because we're not talking about it enough.
Exactly.
And why people are experiencing it or why this is creating space in their life. And so for me, it was younger. I was probably in my teens, and I used to remember my mom saying, like, "What you got going on? Ain't nothing I pay your bills. I pay your food. What are you dealing with that's so bad that you feel like you gotta have it. This is where you are." And I'm like, "You don't even know me. Like, you don't know what I've actually been through in these 16 years." And there was a point where I would accidentally cut myself just to see how she would respond. Almost not attention seeking, but like wanting her to be aware. Yeah. That like there's something going on because these aren't normal behaviors. And usually suicide starts there's like lots of moments where it happens like that. It's accidents or reoccurrences of something harmful, but not so harmful that it takes a life. But it's, again, like burns, cuts.
But it's the change of behavior. It's like, hey, something is going on here. And even sometimes before the actual, like, the hurting, the pain. I talked about this before because it's the smallest things, but it's a change in my child, like how they dress, how they, what they're eating. Like, those are signs that a conversation needs to be had.
Things to look out for.
Yeah.
And again, the pictures I was painted were horrible. Like when we finally talked about them, they were, everything bad, and not realizing that there's little things. I remember talking to someone and I called it the yellow light. So it's the yellow light before the red light. So it's the small subtle things, but it can be quickly escalated to a red and green.
Yeah, you never know what could be that last
thing that tips the scale. So it's like, okay, when you're seeing it, you're already in the yellow. Yeah. There is no more, you're there. You're welcome. Kind of thing. And it's the don't be afraid to have the conversation, because you actually might be saving somebody's life.
Yes.
Like, you're not putting the thought in their head because the thought was already there. Yeah. Baby, they're gonna have it regardless if you say it or not. Maybe they're wanting you to actually say something so that they don't have the thought, because at least you're seeing something in them that has changed, that you're bringing to their attention. Like, hey, like, you know what, you ain't really been eating the last few days. Everything okay? Or not, is everything okay? Is there something we can talk about? Is there something that, is kind of got you, feeling whatever feeling you're feeling? Like, just kind of bringing the topic to surface. And honestly, that's where everything starts to talk.
It does. Communication. When I was saying, when people say, "Oh, I think it's this." No, communication is key to everything. You have to be able to, I say, I don't want to be in, I'll say, spaces or environments where I can't be myself wholeheartedly. And when I say that, it's also how I speak, what I say. The thing, I'm not saying a lot of, for me, what I'm saying is who I am anyway, but just having that space to talk about even if I need to talk about it, whatever we need to talk about, we need to talk about it. Yeah. And I was just having I be having a lot of conversations, hearing conversations, but I be having a lot of conversations. I was just having a conversation with a client, and I was just like, you want to be with somebody who you can be 100% honest with. Like, your life partner the partner, your partner for life, why you don't feel comfortable being open, that's an inclination that something needs to be done. Yeah. We need to talk. And I'd be like, okay, hopefully before people even get to that spot of marriage or whatever, things can be done before. But a lot of people who especially come see me, they're already in that,
It's too late. They're already in the green.
We need to work on that. Because when I have my sessions with my clients, couples, I meet with them together, and then I meet with one, and then I meet with the other. And then even when I meet with them, that whole hour, it's so much that they got to say that they ain't never said to their partner.
No.
In that little 1 hour. And if we had 2 days, they had
a day, honey.
But it's like, that's why I tell people, like, you want to be able to show up as your most authentic self when you meet anybody. You bottling that stuff up, bottling it up, that's going to get you to the yellow. That's going to, here go these thoughts now. And sometimes it's the intrusive thought doesn't start with, I want to kill myself.
No.
I want to, it
never does. It never jumps.
It don't go there. It doesn't.
Most people don't think in that climate. Most people think of little things like I just really want this to stop.
I hate my life.
I wish this could be over. I wish I could change. Like the shoulda, coulda, wouldas kind of things were the things that I want to stop, want somebody else to see. It's usually there before you get way to the end. It's the negative preparations that you just like, you know what, today sucked. Like, I just don't want to do another day like today. I hate today's. Like, I just, like, you start.
Those are, and they start to build and they start to build. If you don't release, they start to get stronger. Yeah. And that, like, the thoughts of, it would be all easier if I wasn't here. And even when it doesn't even start with like, I want to kill myself. It even builds up to that. Like I just said, like, man, what would
look like if I like this?
I feel like,
so much easier.
Yeah.
Like to eradicate everything. Yeah. If I ain't feeling it, then I'm good. Like again, it's the verbiage that starts to change to come stronger because emotions are changing too. Yeah. So like you are emotionally bound to this thing. Yeah. You feel like it's the worst. Like again, you went from green to yellow real quick. It doesn't take long to get there.
It doesn't.
You don't know when it's gonna turn red. And it doesn't take a lot for it to do it, but it's also one of those thoughts, like I said, like I used to be like, oh my God, like I just don't want to be in this space anymore. I hate living here. Yeah. Then it was like, oh no, I hate living here. Like it was a physical space and then just earth, this world. Yeah. I don't want to be a part of the world. Then it was, you know what, like she don't see me no way. She ain't gonna miss me.
Yeah, nobody is.
Nobody cares. There's a reason this is happening because no one does. And then it went on to, you know what? I don't. This doesn't feel good. This hurts. Yeah. And I want the hurting to stop. And I want the physical pain that I'm feeling to stop. Or if the person is doing the harm to me, they can't touch me if I ain't here. So then how can I get, like how, again, you're building a house. You're brick by brick. You're doing this and you don't see it because no one else sees it either. Usually they don't see it until you do, you know, like the harm or you say something that's or your behaviors start to change. Again, you sleeping in a lot or you're overeating or not eating or you're like irate, all of us, like you're just erratic. Like you have all these explosive things that are happening and most people don't know that that's probably the end goal. Yeah. That will probably be approaching if you don't intervene. Yeah. And so, like I said, for me, when I think it was like 300 a leave that I had took because I was just like, if a leave takes away pain, then it'll take away my pain for real. Like, it'll take away everything. It'll take away whatever happens. And I'll be okay with it. And then I remember sitting there, like I said, and I was looking at the back of the bottle and I was like, okay, God. Okay, like it's the back of the bottle, like it was glowing, like points of control. Highlighting. Yeah. And it was the first time that I felt like nervous, like, oh my God, what did I do? Like this, usually if you commit suicide, you don't have that buffer to be like, I can erase it, I can undo it, because you can't. This one, I could, and I called, and the lady was like, yeah, like you gotta go to the hospital, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to tell my mom, because then now I'm facing new fears. Yeah. And most of the things that suicide brings are fears. Like that's the element you live in is fear of no change, fear of continuation, fear of it getting worse.
And most people are living in fear.
It's the worst emotion to feel, and one of the ones that catapult you to suicidal ideations. And like I said, I ended up having the lady on Ports Control talk to my mom, have her take me to the hospital. They pumped my stomach, they ran labs. Like I was really dehydrated and a lot of other stuff. but it was hearing the things that they were saying that was wrong with me. But I was like, what do you mean? Like, now I'm worried. I went from fearful and wanted to do it to now I'm concerned about my life. Like, so that's also when I knew that, like, maybe that's not what I needed to do. Maybe that wasn't for me. And most people don't have that element or space to do that. What if you could take that time to be like, you know what, this isn't for me. What else can I do? Or who else can I seek help from? To actually, again, like, think of it like your vitals. Like, you have somebody check that over for you. Like, I'd go to a doctor for that. I'd go seek somebody for that. And if you are in suicidal space, you need a vital check. Yeah, you need to see someone to debrief your heart rate, your like things that are pregnant to your life. And mine was that, and then it was also the fear of having a conversation with my mom. It was the fear of having to tell her why. And then it was the fear of telling her why, but like, now I gotta tell you what's been going on. Now I'm afraid of how you're gonna think of me. Now I'm thinking all these, like, it's weird. I think of a mesh ball of emotions, because you go this way and you're like, I want to be done. And then you go this way and you're like, how are they gonna feel? And then you go this way and you're like, is it worth it? And then you go this way, absolutely. Like, you're just constantly pivoting. And sometimes it's where the ball rolls that tips it over the most. And for me, it was like, I remember, I still have some scars. But for me, scars are just a memoration of commemoration. That ended. I stopped doing that. Like, that'll never happen again. They're more like remember marks. We'll never be in that space again. We'll never let ourselves be that succumb to the unknown, because that's what fear is too. And I remember the first time, like, I cut myself, my mom was just like, girl, you gotta be careful. I was like, that's it? That wasn't bad enough. Okay, well, then I burned myself. Girl, you just clumsy. God, lady. Okay. Because I'm so scared to tell you, but I just want you to see that something. Like, you see it. I've never done these things before. They're new behaviors, whether they're good or bad.
Because parents, I feel like a lot of, they're going through their own thing, most of them, because they haven't worked on themselves, honestly. So they're in disbelief. I feel like she probably knew. She was like, but we're going to act like that's not what it is.
We don't say nothing.
That's just, like when we started, like, a lot of people, they see some signs, but they was like, no, not my child, you know?
Would never. That person would never. And it's not to say jump straight to the suicide thought,
but just ask it's like, hey, I'm noticing, like, this your second time this week. Having, like,
I had diarrhea, if my stomach changed, like, if I've been having it for a while,
literally vomiting and throwing up in front of your face, you know. But if it's something that people feel like is uncomfortable, they don't want to do. But this is, like we talked about, this could stop the thoughts from getting even further. Like I said, it doesn't start there. Sometimes it's like, this thing is happening to me and I don't like it, but I don't have no way to express it. And now it's like, dang, what is love? Like, because my parents supposed to love me, and you know, like, this is life, this is reality. Because people at a young age, and I remember myself, 5, 7, like, we're thinking things. We don't know how to make it make sense at all. But just imagine if we had a supportive, loving adult. You know what I'm saying?
Change the game for me, okay? Just some positive guidance from
like, we all have thoughts like this, but you know, you can succumb those. Like, you have to fight them, like, because you know you're beautiful. You meant your love. I love you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know how great that would have been.
Like,
because I've also had people say, "Well, I ain't got to tell her because they know," but they need to hear it.
Exactly.
Like, I know you do. You show, or your version of showing up for me is, I pay the bills. You got food on the table. You got clothes on your back. But you don't never tell me you love me. So I could be struggling with that. And then I find somebody who I thought loved me and is abusive and does all these things. And now I'm struggling with just evolving and living. Like, say it.
Say it. And you know, a lot of parents don't say, I love you.
Oh, and that's crazy.
Especially in the Black community. Like, it's not something that is said often.
Or enough.
We talk, me and my kids, I love you. Every time we get off the phone, I love you. Walk out the door, I love you. Like, and it's
smothering them in love. But I also want you to see
smother me in love. No, we smother each other. It's like a,
Oh, and I'm gonna give you a kiss when you come to. Like, also, they're starting to seek it too. Like, they're doing things because I'm also creating that. Because
that's what I'm like, embody what you want your kids to be. And you want them to be great. All you gotta do is, you know what I'm saying? Like, you trying to act like the things in life don't exist. That's not gonna help them, because when they experience it,
that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, when they experience it, it's like, Mom, the world is perfect outside. That's what you making me think. And as soon as something that doesn't seem like it fits in a perfect world, and I don't the word, but as soon as I'll say what society has deemed perfect, because that's not what it is. But what society has said, this is what the idea, I'll say, life is supposed to be. Being sad, that's not idea. So we don't talk about that. Hurting yourself, that's not, that's not idea. So we don't talk about that. It's sex before you marry is not a thing. It's not idea, so we don't talk about that. Even though a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Like,
think about all the things you could stop generationally if you just talked about it.
Exactly.
Because mine was also coming at me from like a Christian point. Like, yeah, God wouldn't put those thoughts in your head, so we don't need to talk about them. Because what? But they're there. I'm having them. So now you're telling me God doesn't love me because I'm having these thoughts?
And I had a conversation with another guest about Christianity, and I was like, we were going to take that. But it's like, no, I wholeheartedly believe in, I know God. Like, I hate that. You know what I'm saying? Right. But a lot of what society, Christians have put out there is so judged. Yeah, religion. You right. Religion. Because it ain't. But it's because in America it's majority Christians. But it's some other religions out there, yeah. But they make you, it's so much fear based. Like you just said, that fear,
it's hard. It makes everything more
intense. It makes it. And then if you really, I'll say no God, because that's what I was saying, and I think in the other episode, like a lot of people say like they have belief in God. I was like, yeah, it ain't, and they be making it unwavering belief, but you don't really got faith in God. If you had faith in God, you wouldn't even fear living, you wouldn't fear life, you wouldn't instill fear in me, you wouldn't instill fear in the Bible, the fear in
using that as
having faith, to manipulate. And like a lot of people have been manipulated with religion. And that's the point. It's not like me coming for nobody's religion. It's just talking about how people have used that as a lot, you know?
It was used against me.
I mean, a lot of kids, honestly.
Again,
and you don't ask no questions because it's not ideal to ask questions.
It's almost against the Bible to question your parents. Like,
and the real thing, how you gonna get through life? Ask those questions. Closed mouth don't get fed. That's the only way you're gonna be able to make it through this in a peaceful way. You know, and not a way that you're stuck in your head where it's like, dang, is this what life is? Because I don't like this. You know, like
this ain't the life I was told I was gonna have, or showed, or thought about fairy tale. Like it's all these preconceptions that are just like built, and then when you go through something really hard, this ain't life.
I mean, but like some people, at 3 years old, the mask is already ripped from their face. Before they can even comprehend life, it ain't no fairy tales.
Oh gosh, no. There's some baby, you got to live today, okay?
Yeah, like we're gonna talk about, at 7, your fairy tales is already gone.
Yeah, my innocence was just riddled.
Yeah.
Like, again, just knowing, like, again, I didn't realize something so impactful would change my thoughts. Because again, nobody's talking to a 7-year-old.
About thoughts, about feelings, about emotions. And even that alone, like when we go into kindergarten, we don't need the ABCs. We gonna get all that stuff that they teach in kindergarten, in first grade. We're gonna learn that.
Yeah.
Just by, those things are easy. Then we should like that. But what's gonna make the biggest impact on your life, knowing that if you think something like, and it's not that good, and you're like, why did I think that? You can tell yourself that's not true.
Yeah.
What if somebody told you that at 5? Like, I hate myself.
No. Be able to say that's not true.
Because do you want to feel that way about yourself? Like, and really just having a conversation with them about that.
But you know what I noticed? That, like, definitely amongst the Black community, you not grown until you grown. So when you grown, then we can talk about this.
Yeah, now we're going to, yeah.
When you're younger, you don't know, what I'm talking to a child about? What can
Stay in a child's place. Feelings?
I can't have feelings. I can't.
And then, first of all, no, I'm being sexually abused, but I'm a child. But that's not a child's conversation. That's something that we need before this is why these things happen. And that's why I talked to somebody else about this. Like, literally, I'm like, I don't want nobody to hold anything over your head. Not even me. We don't do that. And I was saying, like, yeah, my mom was like, she was frustrated because, yeah, you've been knowing one way your whole entire life, but it's not okay to be like, if you don't do this, I'm like, that's something that, even though I know for a fact my mom would never do nothing like that to my child, but you're setting it up that the next person can, because, we allowed that with my son. And she was so upset. But now everybody see that how I was raising my kids, it was a reason how I was doing it. Like, they're not disrespectful. They don't cuss. They don't yell. They're not like, and my daughter, she is like anybody that meet her. I've never met a child more emotionally intelligent. Yes. Like, yes. She's the go-to person at her school.
Yes. So you're instilling these things again.
Like, mentor in the 4th grade. If the therapist of the school, okay,
go for it, baby.
Oh yeah, she was like, "Mama, no, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. Therapy now is my backup job." I said, "Okay,
I'll take it. I'll take it all." But like instilling that in her to know that it's okay to talk, to feel, to understand, and I feel like that's honestly what propelled my suicide journey.
Yeah, it does.
And
yeah.
Again, it might take longer for some. It might be shorter for some.
Yeah, because you never know what the cause could be, or the tolerance that I feel like you had already built up a lot of tolerance to be punched. Literally. Some people haven't. Some people have been sheltered, and then somebody do something and take that, like, it's so traumatic that gap in their response, it kind of almost happens faster. Like the thoughts kind of,
they're just shooting like that.
Yeah.
But it's also like, the first time something really terrible happens, if you don't have a safety net that has taught you what resilience could be, what it might look like, what it might feel like, what it looks to do, you sink a little bit faster. And for mine, it was like, okay, if this is the worst, ain't nothing worse going to happen.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, okay, it keeps getting worse.
Just keep getting worse.
Right. It's just what life is, But that's that safety net. Sometimes it actually. It hurts that person. I'm not gonna say kid, because their I'll say thoughts go to suicide much faster. And I'm not trying to say one way, but no, just being all the way honest, because that safety net can look like truth too.
Yeah.
Like, life is not all rainbows and roses, but we can make it what we want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can work through that. Being honest and transparent about that, because in the same sense of protecting your child from the world versus hiding it so you don't have to be transparent, because either way, it's not helping.
You're not doing what you think you're doing.
Like, it's not. It's just not. Like, it's not.
But like, for me, it also was like going back to being like 7 and finding out my dad died. Like, nobody talked to me through my emotions. Nobody talked to me at all. So I got used to like, okay, well, this ain't supposed to be talk. When things bad happen to me like this, I'm not supposed to talk about it, because nobody's coming to me and asking me how I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, nothing. So then the next time something happens, and my mom was one to tell me, like, you don't never let nobody put their hands on you. If somebody touch you, you tell me, you tell me right away. And I'm like, okay, cool. Got it. And then when I do, and you don't do the thing that you told me you were going to do,
yes. And now that is something huge that I say. I'm like, soon as you become a liar to your kid, they don't trust you.
That's it.
They're going to soon as I learned very early on, and it was something small, but I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. And even in that moment when I was like, nope, I'm going to come and I'm admit my, I don't want neither one of my kids to feel like sometimes what I'm telling you in this moment is what I know to the best of my ability, but I'm not gonna lie like straight out to them. Yeah. I'm not about to, make it look good to sound good. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but I know how to communicate effectively But that, as soon as you find out the truth, sometimes who you find out the truth from, because a lot of times you like, I don't know what to say, but my mom said this, then we go here and this friend said this and she shows me proof, and now I got trust in this friend that may not be the best person to trust, but
like that.
Yeah, she, because sometimes those, and now it's making it seem like a movie, but no, sometimes those kids who are 100% true, because man, when I moved to Indiana, it was different from that small town in Arkansas. And I'm not saying Arkansas was better, because it was a lot of stuff happening inside the house that shouldn't have been happening, but it was no conversations. Even in the schools, we ain't talking about it.
Yeah.
I come here, they talking about it at school. Yeah. The kids are talking about it, exchanging, talking about sex. I was like, what? They talking about it, and they out loud about it, and they owning it.
It's not PG-13.
It ain't PG. It is not. It. We ain't PG over here at all.
Like, it's supposed to happen.
I'm gonna go read my fairy tales. I don't know what's happening.
This a little bit too shocking.
Yeah.
But again, not talking about it when my kids hear from another source. That's the source they're gonna trust.
It is.
And for me, when my mom didn't, like when my cousins came to you and told you these things were happening, and you beat me for it.
Yeah.
You beat me for it. I was like, okay, cool. I won't talk to you again. I thought repercussions. That would be easier.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that person to keep hurting me, but my mom's also not listening to me. Like, this is horrible. Like, nobody should live like this. This isn't life. This isn't worth living. This isn't what the fairy tales say. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to experience. Like, I'm locking doors and I'm putting extra stuff to reduce the fear, but it's also the fear of it keep going. I'd rather have it stop when I can control it. Because for me, to be able to take my own life, felt like I had control. Like, nobody else is doing this. Nobody's going to take it from me because they're already taking so much from me.
Yeah.
So at least this thing I can do and know that I made it stop.
Yeah.
You know? But it was also the variations that I was willing to take to make it stop. And when the first time you do something and you feel pain that you caused yourself, it feels different. Like, no one really can take something and cut themselves really deep enough to like get to bone and flesh unless life or death are in a thing. And for me, I was like, okay, it's life. As I was doing it, I was like, is life that bad? Life that bad? Life feels that bad. And I'm going through the pain and the emotion. And before I know it, I'd have nicked a whole vessel, and you can see everything. And I was always taught nobody can, bite through their own hand and do all these things. And I was like, but if you're in pain, if I'm trying to get pain to match pain or pain to outdo pain, I'm going to be greater. And for me, it was all emotional experiences that were just so great that I was like, yeah, life, this ain't it. Like, this is not what I have. It's useless.
Yeah.
Like,
I couldn't have signed up for this.
Like, this can't be what my mom had me for. Like, if this is the worst, I don't want tomorrow to happen. I don't want another day to happen. I don't want another experience, another hour, another minute of this, because somebody doing this to me, in my mind, it lasts so long, longer than it was. And I was like, okay, well, the pills didn't work. Okay, we got other stuff. And I started again the ideations. Like, okay, what kind of plan can I make? Like, what would be quick? I don't want to shoot myself because that's just gonna make a mess. Like, I was courteous, but also like, I want to do it. Then it was okay. Well, I set up some stuff, and my cousin had hung himself maybe a year or two before then. And I was like, but then who gonna find me? How's it gonna look to them who find me? Why am I caring about? How am I caring about how this is gonna affect the next person, but still want to do it? Yeah. And then my brother's kids lived in the house with us at the time, and I was like, I don't want to traumatize somebody else by my own trauma. And I remember it was over my door, and the whole thing just collapsed. And I remember sitting there crying my eyes out.
I wanted to say this when you were talking about the self-harm. A lot of times when it's somebody in your life that's what it seems like is taking control and taking your power, and this self-harm is like, okay, this is me being in control of my pain. This is me. And it's like you said, but I can be in control in a different way. I can do something powerful. I can, I can be the change I want to see in it. No, but you can do something different. But a lot of times we just don't know that in that moment.
No.
Because that's my norm. This is all I know.
No, that's all
Yeah, and then you experience something different. Like a 5-year-old gave you a different perspective.
Something simple,
and it do be simple, but we don't even get that.
But it's also like it took me getting older to realize that, like, if I can think about the darkest moment, the worst outcome possible, why can't I think about the best outcome, the greatest outcome?
Yes.
Why can't I flip the switch?
Yes.
I'm physically living in this, so it's hard to envision it ever getting better. But it's like I learned that that's powerful for me to know that it can, and I can change it.
Yeah.
Like somebody's doing something to me. They're only doing it because I exist. Okay, well, is it because I exist or because they feel like they can? And for me, learning the difference was no, because if I didn't exist, he'd be doing it to her.
Yeah,
he'd be doing it to the next person. I was like, you know what? It's because it's me. Okay, well then let me not let you do this. Like, if I took away your power, your authority, your rule, and your fear, everything that you put at me, what if I was able to use that? That gave me like Superman. Like when I finally, I remember having dreams about it and be like, you know what? Never again. Never again.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's as simple as I made this choice. But we don't know that at a certain, but that's why we're doing this, to let people know that you do have that choice. You can make it, and it may not seem like it right now
or feel like it.
It may not, but even if the people who's supposed to be your support is not, like, find somebody who is.
Yeah.
And sometimes school is not the best, but sometimes you can find somebody in that school to be that person that can help make those changes necessary. Because sometimes they'll be like, yeah, but being in the foster care system is worse. Is it? Sometimes it's not. We don't know.
It might not be your experience.
It may not. Don't let the experience or the fears that people have instilled in you hold you back from saving your own life, I'll say, for making the change necessary for you to possibly thrive in life. Yeah, it's so hard when people are kids. Like, kids,
it's the vulnerability.
It just sucks so bad. Like, and that's why I can't work with them. I have a house full of kids. I just don't like how some people treat kids. And then that's a whole nother perspective. Like, when I first started school and being in that position, thinking I was going to be a teacher and having conversations, like, I'm 18, 19, like telling a mom, like, hey, I think you should, I don't want my kid to be, and then like seeing the response of you not wanting to show up with your kids out of whatever you got going on. Like, I felt like I'm not helping them. This is not going to be a change. So when I went to my social work class, that first intro, I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. I'm a switch. Let me go ahead and switch. I'm a switch. But I was like, I can't work with kids, because me having to know that even if you CPS gets involved or, the system gets involved, they still have to go back, even if we know what's going on. Like, and I'm not saying people don't change and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do what I gotta do for my child.
Right.
But sometimes they don't. And I can't, I don't want to carry, I've been carrying a lot of weight. A lot of people have, like, even with the little things that we've shared, like, you started carrying weight before you should have. A lot of us started carrying weight that we shouldn't be carrying. We're carrying the weight of our parents, our siblings, these schoolmates, the teachers, teachers saying some horrible things. My best friend's son recently, the teacher told 9-year-old, I wish you was older so you can go to jail. Why would you tell that to a kid? And I remember somebody we went to school with, he told me, he was like, yeah, our music teacher said, your future looks like you been in jail. Like, why are you, but now these kids are carrying this. And those are the things like, am I worth anything other than me being in jail? Because now you're manifesting that on them. Like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, or somebody that's there and they say it's bad and I ain't trying to go there. So let me just stop it before it happens, and not realizing that, like,
that was your future. You get to choose, the
power of choice, the power of your own. But again, you're a kid. You don't know that. You don't know that you have a say.
And that's why I'm working with the parents, future parents. We got to do something different.
And I feel like if this, and I remember saying to someone, I was like, if we could start at like 4 to 5,
that's the time.
Implementing great thoughts, affirmations, positive outcomes, doing therapy.
That's the time. And I don't like to talk about the system, but
it's there.
The system was created to, the school system, John Rockefeller created the school system to produce workers and non-thinkers and to make people feel like they're not special, to make people feel like all you have to do is memorize, take this test, do this. We structure routine, go to work. The system was created to create, like, this is the blueprint, this is life. Instead of like, no, this is not life. Life is you having power, you have control, and not to say like we're gonna do, but no, you have that, and like teaching us about emotions, teaching us about, you know, I'll just say the real things that really matter in life, you know. But continue.
No, you're good. I just think that like we teach, or not teach, we think of suicide as taboo.
Yeah,
it's such voodoo ritual and all these things. And in reality, what if you knew somebody you knew, or like if you had a light to see that this person was thinking that, wouldn't you intervene? Wouldn't you want to save them? Wouldn't you want to contribute something to help lift them? So why don't we do that, since we can't see everybody? So why don't we treat every encounter as if it's going to be the life-changing
I love that. Yes.
Like simply asking someone, is there anything I can do for you? How
are you? Like, and really be genuine about it.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
Don't ask me nothing like, people say, hey, how you doing?
But don't
keep going.
Yeah.
Like they just said it like a hello, but they didn't actually wait for a response. Don't do that. Don't be passive. Like, be intentional.
And if you have something to say, just ask it. Don't give me fake small talk to make it seem like you care. That's what I tell my friends.
That makes it worse.
It makes it so much worse. And when people, I was telling people, I'm like, I don't like small talk. I don't like it. If you need to ask me something, ask me. But if we're being genuine and we want to know how each other is doing, like, we can talk about that. But to ask me how your day is going just for you to ask me for $20, like, I don't like that.
Yeah, no. Because you just used me. And it's insulting. Just say it. I'd rather have you say it.
I would too. I respect that way more than knowing that you were just asking me to get to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just say, people be better. No, but just be genuine about your interactions. And if you can't, don't say nothing. I'm just gonna say that.
That would be the best.
If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. But people don't. But they thinking it's about, like, oh, no, it's about, like, if you don't have nothing nice to say, like, being genuine, don't talk to me.
You're gonna make it worse. Again, feeling insulted is the worst.
It is.
It's like you're taking my intelligence and you're taking it from, like, I don't have it.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But again, my past has told me that, like, a lot of people have had power over me. And for me, you trying to diminish my power.
Yeah. You just another person on this list of people who are,
I can't. And I feel like if we taught empowerment, if we taught, like, real ownership of self and self-regulation, that would help a lot of suicidal thoughts.
I agree.
Because no matter the circumstance, no matter what is happening to you, even at the most pivotal, intense moments, it's not forever.
Yeah, you know it's a moment. Yes.
Like a moment.
Yes.
It's a moment. Don't give them more time than they need.
Yes.
So, like, take that power from them. Whether it might mean losing relationship, like, why worry about what it might do if the harm is so bad?
Exactly.
Like, I feel like that was probably something I struggled with the most, because I was like, the harm is so bad, but now I'm caring about how this gonna make her feel, how this gonna make her feel. And I'm like,
but you're living with it. You live with yourself 24/7. Nobody else. Can't nobody feel what you feel but you. Why you want to make yourself feel worse to make somebody else feel better? And that's not your responsibility.
See, I was taught that was empathy.
Yeah, that is not your responsibility to make them, because you can't make nobody feel what
nobody else's emotion.
You can't. But you can't. Over here, even though you're feeling what you're feeling, I need to learn how to respond and react to these. I have to deal with that. And me dealing with it by trying to make you, it's only making me feel worse.
Yeah, because I'm steady going through it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not telling you, because I'm worried about how this is going to make you feel. That I feel like when you understand what power looks like, power is invisible. It's invisible.
It's within self.
No one knows that you have it. No one knows how you use it. No one knows when it shows up for you. Only you know that. So when you see that moment of, like, for me, it was telling the person, I told my social worker at school.
Yeah.
Because I was like, at least I know I told somebody who she might not care, but at least she got to write it down and report it. Like I was so nonchalant, like whatever. If it don't happen, then it's cool.
Yeah, but at least I did. I'm gonna
go home and finish what I started. Yeah, I knew today was my last outreach because a lot of people that I've known that have talked about suicide, like you do something beforehand to get this last, like you tried, the hoorah kind of thing, and telling her, and I was like, yeah, like if it don't happen, it's a notice off my door when I get home, like because I'm over this. I'm over the physical manipulation. Like I'm over the hurt, and she, you know, did all her stuff, called it in. I had to go to CPS, do all these talks, and it was somewhere in there that they were creating a safety net for me. Yeah. That they were helping me build my own, to know that I'm going to be okay, to know that there's two ends to be tethered upon, and that I get to sit in the middle, and that I'm supported, that I am loved, that I am lifted. Yeah. That, like, they were the stuff that ended up turning out. Like I ended up to go live with like my aunt for the summer, and I never thought that, like, I thought I would have nowhere to go. Yeah. Like, cause it's just my mom, my dad passed and all that stuff. And I was like, I have nowhere to go. I have no one loves me enough.
And that's and that's what we be thinking. And that's why I said, like, you never know. Yeah.
You're creating these negative things. And I was like, after, again, I got all my stuff, went to my aunt's house. First of all, one of my favorite aunts. But it was also like, I didn't think she would take me in. Because this person is telling me all these things. Like, don't nobody love you enough to take you. Like, you ain't nothing but a burden and all these things. And I was like, that happened. And I went to live with her, and I was like, I felt so I felt like a kid.
Like, I was gonna say that.
It felt like the best sleepover ever, because the weight and responsibilities and the negative things that were physically happening to me. If you ever saw a light turn on, it was the same. Like, it just stopped.
I love it.
And I got to wake up somewhere safe, and I got to be somewhere. Like, I remember me and my aunt took a walk, and she actually was like,
listening, and you genuine, you can feel it.
And she created that for me then, to the point we still do it now. I love it. Her, talk, but it was somebody, like, I didn't know what power looked like. No one ever tells a kid that they got power. No, because if you ever do that and they start using it, then you feel like, how you gonna use that on me? And how you No, everyone has power within them. And it's only you that can control it. And you who exposes.
And a lot of parents do take that power away from their kids. And even like in the simplest way, it's like, no, that's not a realistic career. Like, you cannot be a singer. You
can't even sing.
Yeah, like they don't even know what damage they're doing and what doors they're opening for predators to get in. Because I watched this briefly, because I don't like watching stuff like that. But it was like he wasn't a serial killer, but he was like serial molesting kids, and he was like, he knew which kids to prey on. Yeah. And they do. People know who to prey on. Yeah. Except kids, because kids also prey on other kids. They're just, but adults, they know who to prey on. They know who to mess with and who not to mess with. But,
that's also what I didn't know. I thought it was.
But you were a kid.
Exactly. But again, I'm being told by this adult these things. So then it's making me think that, okay, well, shoot, I must be the
You got to listen to your adults. Listen to,
all these things. I got adults telling me these things, but an adult is hurting. Yeah. An adult is doing these things. So it's hard to see the world realistically past the point of hurt, because I got an adult doing this and an adult hurting. Like, I'm never getting out of this. This is never going to end. And the only way I can end it is if I end it. Yeah. And it was learning that, you know what? It don't have to be that. Yeah. It don't have to be. I was called to be greater. Every single person was called to be greater.
We all have a purpose.
You don't know yours until you get through those walls. Yeah. And if it feels like the worst, guess what? Tomorrow will be better. It will. There's no day that repeats itself, whether it be good or bad.
And I love that. I love it.
That's what did it for me.
I like that.
That's when I was like, I'll never do this again to myself. And it wasn't caring about anybody else.
It was you. It was you finally caring for you.
Yeah. Because I was like, I like her. I want to keep her. I want to protect. Like, I learned, I want to do this for me. Yeah. Like that power that I got back, no one could ever rob me of that.
I want to say you gave Artie a lot of things within our dialogue of ways and things that people can do and deal with some of it, but just being intentional about a message you want to leave to the audience in regards to suicidal ideations, suicidal thoughts, self-harm. What would you like to?
If anything, I would say, don't let the stigma or the voodoo that we've created keep you from having those conversations. They will be hard. They're supposed to be. there's ain't nothing good about it. It's going to be hard, but know that whatever you're doing, if it comes from a positive point, will have a good outcome.
And not talking about it is only giving it more power. It's making it worse.
It's not going to make it go away by not talking about it. I don't know when that got created.
I don't either.
But that umbrella that we've been using to like, oh no, it's over here.
It don't exist. Let's sweep it under the rug.
Let's go ahead.
How much can we sweep under the rug?
So the rug is a mountain right
exactly.
now. Okay, with a little tapestry on top. Like, it's just nothing about that is healthy.
It is not.
Okay. And
no.
I honestly believe that like having the hard conversations build the relationship. They build that power string, that tapestry that you're creating for that person. You're giving them the space to do that, but also be genuine when you talk to them.
Genuine, yes.
Be attentive when you talk to them. There's nothing worse than talking to someone who's passive or who's already trying to brush you off, already doing something else. If you don't have time, don't.
That's what I said.
Don't even initiate. Just know that you're probably not the person for that assignment.
Yeah.
And somebody else will be, because a false person doing that's just going to propel a negative action or outcome. But also know that if you are somebody dealing with suicide, and I mean, I can't say no matter how it feels, because I'm not dealing with that for you, but I can say I know how I felt from my situation, being pistol whipped by the person at 16 and being molested and raped. That was the worst feeling ever, which clearly doesn't sound great, but it's also me realizing that how can I make him stop? If he can do this, how can I make him stop? And then it was like, you know what? He can't close my mouth. I still go to school.
Yeah.
I still
interact. Yeah.
I still have outlets that I'm thinking that I don't.
Yeah.
Because this person's telling me that I don't.
Yeah.
Because this person's also telling me that if others knew this, they would say something already, and it's gone on for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So like knowing that you have an out, and your out is your voice.
It is.
Your voice only represents you and how you feel, and you scream. You scream to the top of your lungs until it changes.
Yeah.
That's, if anything else, if you are thinking those negative thoughts, just start screaming.
Yeah.
Literally. Just start screaming. Somebody's going to come to you and ask you what's wrong, what's going on. They're going to be you're going to be able to have your outlet.
I love that. And I want to end this with, we all have a story.
Yeah.
Don't let no one else narrate it, write it like you know, at this time you feeling like, oh, he's telling me this, so this is true. No, you write your story. You create what you need for yourself. And like you said, by yelling out, saying it, no, I'm tired of him doing this. And it's not just that person, but whatever is going on in your life, know that you have the power to change it with your voice.
Yeah. And again, the metaphor that I remember creating in my mind was like, if I just start screaming, everybody gonna look at me crazy, but there's gonna be somebody that comes to me. There's gonna be somebody that's gonna come see me. There's gonna be somebody who's gonna respond appropriately. And how can I do that? My voice.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that can say or stop what's happening, no matter what that person is telling or doing or thing that's occurring.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, no day repeats itself.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for, being open and honest about a subject that a lot of people don't talk about. And even in this, you sharing your story right now in this moment, you don't know how many people I know it has impacted, will impact. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to thank my guests for their honesty, their vulnerability, and their willingness to speak on something that so many people keep hidden. These conversations are not easy, but they are necessary, because when we speak openly about suicide, self-harm, and intrusive thoughts, we remind people that they are not alone. If you made it to the end of this episode, I need you to sit with something for a moment. You are still here, and that means something. I know how heavy it can feel, how exhausting it is to battle thoughts that try to convince you that you don't belong here. But those thoughts are not true. They are not the end of your story. So if you are struggling, I still need you to hold on. I need you to give yourself one more day, one more hour, one more moment, because no feeling lasts forever. And the pain you're feeling right now, it won't last forever. I want to give you guys some tips, tools, a few things I want you to take with you from this episode. Your thoughts do not define you. Suicidal thoughts are not a sign of weakness. They are a symptom of pain, and pain can be worked through. You are not alone. Even when it feels like no one understands, someone does. Even when it feels like no one would miss you, someone would. You matter more than you know. Reach out. Please reach out. Whether it's a friend, a therapist, a support group, or a crisis hotline, please don't go through this alone. There are people who want to help, but they can't if you don't speak up. This too shall pass. The storm will not last forever. I promise you. I promise you. Hold on long enough to see the sun again. And I want to be clear. Healing does not happen overnight. It's not a straight path. It's not linear, and it doesn't always feel good. That is the truth. That is reality. But it does get easier. The more you work on yourself, the more you learn you, the more you love you, the better, the easier it's going to get. And I'm not going to lie, some days will be hard. This is just a part of life. But learning how to deal with it in your own way, that's what's going to help you. That's going to help you navigate life. And I'll say, even in the hardest moments, you have the ability to keep going. And I'll just say, it reminds me of the song Rise Up by Andrea Day. Not afraid, I rise up. It's a song about survival, about finding the strength to keep moving, even when you feel like you have nothing left. And if you're listening to this right now, I need you to do just that. Keep going. If today is difficult, just focus on the next step. And if that's too much, just focus on the next breath. And if you're thinking, I don't want to be a burden, let me tell you, you are not a burden. You are loved. You are needed. And the world is better with you in it. Your story, the pain you've been through, that story can help save somebody else because you're still here. You're living despite what you've been through. Everybody has a story to tell. And that's what this podcast is about. Different people, different perspectives on their journey, the journey of life. But if you guys want to be a part of the community, drop some stuff, tell your story. The more you hold on to the burden, the more it's going to be hard for you to carry. Let that burden go. Let it all go. Okay. I know this was a heavy conversation, but thank you for listening to this episode. If this conversation spoke to you, please share it with someone who might need it. And if you're struggling, please check the episode notes for resources. There is help. There is hope. And there is life beyond this moment. Until next time, take care of yourself, be gentle with your mind, and know that you are meant to be here. Thank you.